Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am Carla Olivo. I'm the Assistant Executive Director of the South Fairfax Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so glad you could be with us today. This is our third in a series of roundtable discussions that we are hosting today. And joining us is Mr. Timm Johnson. He is the Director of the Mason Small Business Development Center. And we're going to talk about the ABCs of digital marketing. Timm, welcome. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions after this session. I will tell you, a lot of our members are just starting within the last year with COVID to kind of dip their toes in the digital marketing pool. So I will turn it over to you and let you get started. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Carla, and good to sort of see everyone. I wish this was an in-person roundtable because it's a nice manageable group, and it would have been great to have some interaction. I'll be flying through some slides and hopefully at least spark some areas of interest that you then can reach back out to us, and we can go a lot deeper into digital marketing. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about the SBDC program. I'm not sure how familiar you are about it. We're going to talk a little bit about the basics of digital marketing, how we attract customers, implementing local SEO, and a little bit about reputation management. So to get started, one of the things you may not realize is we are your local SBDC office. The Mason SBDC is headquartered in Fairfax, but I cover all of Fairfax, Arlington, and Prince William counties. I've got 14 counselors that work for me, and we are part of the Virginia SBDC network, where we've got 26 centers around the Commonwealth. In addition to our offices at Mason, and we are part of George Mason University, we have a center in Springfield called Community Business Partnerships. That is where the Women's Business Center is housed, as well as the Veteran Business Outreach Center. We also have a center in the city of Alexandria, as well as out in Leesburg. Collectively, if we don't have an answer at our center, I've got a big network to engage with, and there are over 1,000 centers nationwide. The SBDC program is funded based on an act of Congress through the Small Business Administration. And so SBA sets our goals. SBA considers us the big resource partner for them. And so obviously with COVID, we are considered the, you would say, the resource to go to dealing with anything related to the pandemic financial assistance. I've done numerous workshops on EIDL, PPP, and now as we're moving to some of the later stages, we're certainly looking right now. Today, actually tomorrow, I believe the Restaurant Revitalization Fund opens up. And then earlier this week, the shuttered venues grant funding also opened up. And so if you are in need of any support in any of these areas, we've got about a month left here for PPP. If you've not applied for either one or two, nearly everybody is eligible at least for one. And then when we get into the realm of forgiveness, that's what we're here for. We're also working very closely with all the counties as they're about to get another round of funding. So Fairfax County had the RISE grant. Prince William County had several grants that we were directly responsible to support. We expect that we're going to get another round. And so one of the things, and Carla, Casey, one of the things that I do is when I get communications from our counties, and especially from the SBA, I always like to send them out to the chambers so they can quickly get them out to all their members about the latest activities and happenings that's going on. And one of the things that we did with Prince William County as part of the CARES Act that is specific to this program is we actually did a grant program for digital marketing where the small business owners worked directly with us to figure out how to implement digital marketing strategies, including e-commerce. And then there were vendors that were selected by the county that then actually implemented those things, and they got up to $10,000 worth of digital marketing services. We would typically be doing a minimum of 5 sessions in support of that, and we hope we will be doing that for Fairfax County coming up here with this next round. So what do we do and how do we do it? Well, first of all, we're here to do primarily one-on-one confidential business counseling for you. We cover every subject that's finance, financial management, digital marketing, and then of course all the operational areas, HR, IT, insurance, you name it. We've got experience in doing that. And then of course we also cover just about every business industry. So if it's restaurant, retail, government contracting, professional services, we've got personal experience in those industries. So one of the things that we hope we can do is reach out, have you reach out to us, and it's just as simple as requesting counseling. We also do small group training seminars on a number of business topics, as well as bigger workshops and seminar series. This is an excerpt out of a 2-hour workshop called Local SEO and Social Media Marketing, and we've got another Marketing 101 on how to do marketing campaigns. And then we are also a great resource to state, local, and even federal resources, as well as our private sector resources like accountants, lawyers, commercial brokers, insurance brokers, realtor brokers, you name it. We've got some pretty good resource lists. And if you're one of those businesses that would like to be on a referral list, all you got to do is contact me, and we can add you to the list. And so why do we do it? Well, this is what the SBA expects of us, that we're going to drive economic impact for a local region, and we're going to be measured in jobs. So one of the things that we do is we start out knowing how many employees you have, and we're going to ask you every time, did you hire anybody? And we're going to measure change over time. We aggregate that up. Last year, we counseled over 1,500 small businesses in Northern Virginia, generated a lot of job retention and some job growth even during the pandemic. We're going to measure sales growth over time. We're also going to look at the capital investment, including the amounts of impact that you were able to get from some of the COVID assistance. And of course, we're also not just for existing businesses, but we do have some goals around new business starts each year. And so if you're not in business, certainly we are a great resource to get you through that process of getting launched. So in this session, we often talk about what we call the marketing maturity model. We're going to focus on some of the basics in and around digital marketing, and certainly a lot of this should be pretty familiar to you. As we have a time and some of the questions come in, and if you attend some of our other workshops, we'll get into some of the more advanced social media marketing techniques. But in the upper right-hand corner is the part that really gets into revenue creation and how we use social selling techniques to get in front of potential customers, to drive conversation and ultimately get them to engage you in conversation. An example would be, once we know exactly who we're targeting, and let's say we're targeting at a business that's targeting the IT departments in colleges and universities. Once we know exactly who the buyer is, how do we use the social selling community to actually identify them and get in front of them in order to influence their buying decisions? So we have these levels of maturity. Carla said, yeah, I think we got some old school people here. I'm not going to accuse anybody of being old school, but digital marketing, especially during the pandemic when we couldn't necessarily reach out and see people face to face, became certainly part of your marketing strategies. And then when we think about the digital marketing fundamentals, first thing is we really do need to understand our audience and who we're ultimately marketing to. So we want to build personas. We want to really truly understand who our target audience is. And then as we understand that, we're going to look for the best place, the best channels to engage those potential customers. And while this is at sort of at the high level theory, we will go deep into your particular industry, your particular customer type, and determine what is the best approach in terms of marketing. We'll work on building a great message board. That's the content and educational material that really goes to what your customer is looking for. And then we'll get into campaign executions. And I'm not just talking specifically about paid advertising. Matter of fact, we want to do all these things that we can do that's just your time with small amounts of investment before we actually try and spend significant amounts of money to get in front of people. And of course, we want to be able to measure and learn exactly how effective some of our marketing campaigns are doing, and we'll adjust, based on that. So where do we start? Well, first, it's truly understanding your customer's behavior. When we think about who our customers are or who we'd like to bring in, we're going to want to know from a true demographics, how detailed can we get? It could be age, gender, and certainly where they're located is certainly going to be a big part of it.
Tim,
Yes.
I'll let you take a quick sip there. And just a quick question. I know I do a lot of freelance social media work for nonprofits and small businesses.
Mhm.
And one of the hardest things that I come up against is having them identify their customer. Because a lot of times I get, well, I serve to everybody. Everybody's my customer. And so how do you get a client to really pinpoint who their customer is, even if they sell to everybody?
Fantastic question. I could tell you the answer right now, but we're going to see it by the end of this this particular page.
All righty.
So number two, what are they buying today? Is it for a critical need? Is it essential to them? Is it a nice to have? So when we think of a nonprofit, and we think of what does that nonprofit do for that particular customer's demographic, we can start by who's engaged with them already. It might be the early adopters, and it may be that who you're serving may be either really important to them, or is this something that perhaps meets an emotional need. We also want to know who they're buying from today. That's the competition, or are they doing things on their own? The do-it-yourself mantra. They might not even be doing anything, and that you're introducing them to a new product or service that may be of use to them. We want to know what is their main decision buying criteria. Is it based on price? Is it based on meeting a need? Is it a loyalty kind of thing? And we think of decision criteria often can be based on loyalty, and we also need to know how they're ultimately finding you. We think of this as what words are they using to search for you, but it also could be coming from referrals. So what are they asking their friends or their colleagues when they're looking for what you do? How would they potentially ask somebody about your product or service? And we also want to understand what emotions they feel when they get the product or service. Is it relief? Is it happiness? Is it success? Is it pride? All these are emotions that we want to build content to. That is, that certainly drives part of their buying decision process. And of course, where are they located? Physical, or are they? Is this an online community? Is this a nationwide community, or potentially very local to your business? And then, what are they buying? When we talk about frequency, is this a regular buying pattern, or this is something that they just need once a year in terms of a subscription, or is it event driven, seasonal, or something specific to what they do? And then how do we change their behavior? So one of the ways that we go about understanding our customer is we go out and we conduct interviews. The concept is called Lean Startup, and the idea is let's go understand our customer's pain and their process on how they think about pain, not about do they want to buy what I have to sell, but what is their behavior as it relates to these questions. So when we think about a nonprofit, what are the elements of the nonprofit's customers that we can start to hone into? And it could be certainly based on on what that nonprofit serves. So now we're looking for lookalikes of that same customer persona is ultimately who now we're going to try and market to. Did that make sense, Carla?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
I mean, I think if they go through this checklist, they will definitely be able to really hone in on who their customer is.
That's good. So, but if there's more, I'm happy to do my best here. So when we think about some of our support that we do, and when we're going through developing a marketing plan, we certainly are going to be talking about brand messaging and content development. Remember, what you say is all about educating your customer about what you do. We want things that are going to drive to that call to action to engage you in conversation. We do have graphics, we do have pictures, we do have written content, we have organizational of that content, and of course we have the placement of that content, website, blogs, and social media sites. We want to write it well, we want to write it once, we want to use the different platforms in order to get that messaging out there. So it does start with the website. If you are building a website or you have an existing website, we will certainly analyze it and work to develop best practices around how we think a website might be as the most effective to reach your customers. We are also going to look at the variety of social media channels that make sense. Not every channel is important to your business type. If you're in professional services, you're likely to be more effective in the LinkedIn community. If you're in the community and Facebook is a way to tap that community and inform that community of what is happening with your business, Facebook might be a better place. If you have something that is akin to great videos, YouTube, Instagram for pictures, they're all viable. I didn't put Twitter up here, but we often asked how to our customers, how do you want to be informed about what's happening with our business? It could be Instagram, it could be it could be Twitter, it certainly could be any of the social media channels. As we get further into using social media to attract new customers, that's when we're getting into some of the later stages of the maturity model, but we certainly can look at marketing programs through social media. We're also going to look at SEO, search engine optimization. How do we make you as most relevant to Google as possible? And I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on that. And then how we use our analytics tools to understand how our engagement is occurring, not just with our website, but also with our social media accounts. Email marketing still has viability today almost in any industry because that may be how your customer wants you to stay in touch with them. You want people still to opt in, you want to ask for their email, when you engage them in networking events or you're giving something away, say we'd like to stay in touch with you through email, and we can use third-party email platforms like Constant Contact or MailChimp to be really effective, to be able to segregate email lists and make it easier to get really high quality emails out to them. I'm sure you're getting a chamber email. If you sign up with us, you'll get our emails about the latest happenings. Still viable, certainly in this marketplace. Paid advertising is also viable, though we want to do these other things first. But paid advertising may actually still work with using the chamber, using some of our local marketing paid advertising opportunities. Somebody says that they're very local in our community. You say, "Oh, I'd really like to meet and interact with some of our local residents." And my daughter attended West Potomac, and she was big into the West Potomac Theater, which was probably West Potomac High School probably had the best theater program in Northern Virginia. For those that are Mount Vernon High School, sorry, West Potomac is where I live. One of the things that I noticed, and with that great theater program, every time I went in to see one of their productions, I got a playbill, and within that playbill was a number of advertisements. And so, of course, since my daughter was in it, we were part of the theater parents group, and we were often asked to encourage to get advertisers to come on. And one of the things I realized is everybody had 15 minutes before the show started, and it was a way to actually get to something like 2,000 parents sitting in an audience with great with great attention to your ad. I can't do it today, but we'll be back in the fall. Easy, very low cost paid advertising. We hope you're getting out into networking here fairly soon. Again, COVID has kind of done that. But when we think about networking, we're going to talk about elevator pitches. We're going to use networking to do some of those customer discovery interviews that I talked about a little bit earlier. We certainly think networking is certainly a great way to spread the word. Partnering, if there's somebody that you can partner with, another business that finds you valuable to work together, they may resell you. You may be together going after solicitations, let's say for government or other businesses. Partnering still is a viable way to grow your business quickly. You may have a storefront, so we're going to talk about things in and around advertising your storefront organization. We have a whole workshop on that Main Street storefront. Certainly may be viable as well. And then lastly, all these things ultimately is marketing that generates sales leads. How do we go through the sales process to get them to a close? And we're going to spend a lot of time on that to make sure that you can educate them, but if we can't get them to close that deal, then we're missing that opportunity to generate the revenue you really want to see. So a little fun. If we were in person, I'd ask you guys to shout out the questions. And I asked Alexa a few months back in the fall, what are the top search sites right now out there? And interestingly enough, it was an interesting top 5 list. And you'd say, well, what about these others? Well, these were the ones that were generating the most requests through their search engine of all the ways of searching through the internet. Number 1, obviously, is the easy one to guess. Yeah, that's Google. But then as it goes further down the list, number 2 is actually YouTube. And if you'll notice, Google has a video link as part of the Google search results. Well, that's likely to be YouTube. But YouTube itself, I know I spend tons of time on there looking for entertainment content or how-to videos. Yeah, actually, YouTube drives a lot of direct consumer search. Number 3, which actually used to be number 2 up until a couple of years ago, is Facebook. And Facebook, just because of the sheer number of Facebook subscribers, they're using Facebook search for news groups and just information that is in the Facebook world. And you'd say, well, is that valuable to me potentially for my business as a source? Now it starts getting really interesting, and this one caught me by surprise. Number 4 is Amazon, and one of the things that I learned actually earlier this week is 2/3 of all product searches are actually done on Amazon, not Google. So if you're thinking about a particular product, and like myself, I'm going to Amazon, can understand pricing and reviews and just information about a particular product. That certainly influences my buying decision. I may not buy it from Amazon, but it's a great way to be informed about a particular product. Number 5, this was the hardest one to get, but a little bit surprising, is actually the website Reddit. And it is an unbelievable collection of content in all forms and shapes. I was doing a Google search on how to fix my noisy fan in my laptop, and surprisingly, I got more information out of Reddit than I did from the Dell user group sites about my particular laptop and the problems I was having. So the other thing we find out about Reddit is it also allows us to understand a little bit about trending of what people are talking about. So if you have a business where you want to understand what the latest discussion trends are, you can actually tailor your content to actually be in the mainstream of what people are searching for. So I'm just going to give you a really quick example of the difference between local and global search. And it actually has some value for local businesses when you think about how we're going to attract people to discover us. So if I just went to Google and I typed in the word accounting firms, and I'm looking for an accounting firm to do my taxes, I got 209 million hits right out of the gate. And you'll notice this first gives you the all. There is news, there are images, videos. I mentioned that earlier as certainly people that have videos around accounting firms. Not that I'm going to click on it here, but interestingly, Google thinks it knows what I'm looking for. And what comes up first is the ads, and those are the people that are willing to spend a lot of money because I happen to put in that particular keyword set. These are the people that are advertising to me. Me as a consumer, I tend to ignore when I see the word ads. I know they're trying to market to me. They've got to certainly speak to me in terms of their page title. That's really going to come across as something that I want to do. But I'm not encouraging you to pay for ads to be on the first page. And then as we get down into the non-ads, we sort of tend to get this mix of other aggregators, the really big firms. And it's particularly rare that we're going to get somebody that may be local to us, though not uncommon. But it's hard to overcome the incumbents that are here on the first couple of pages. So I might go back into my search engine and just say, well, I now need to put in a location. So in this case, I said Dumfries, Virginia. This is, I think, when I did it for a workshop I did with the Dumfries Economic Development Group. And so I got a much smaller group. And then the first thing that pops up is the Google map with the first three primary sites. And then I can click on more locations. And so this is very relevant for a local standpoint because it is geographically relevant to what I do. Now, where did these come from? Well, each one of these are Google My Business profiles. And so it is extremely important that if you want to get on the first page, it starts with a Google My Business profile. But so there are going to be other factors that are going to drive you. And of course, once you get past that list, if you do some of the other elements I'm going to talk about can still get you on the first page to even past the map. But we tend to get the aggregators also do show up in this search. And so what are the things that we've learned that are the drivers for local SEO as it comes to Google? And this is one of the most prominent SEO companies that we know out there that developed this list. So number one, the Google My Business signals. That's your Google My Business profile. And this is proximity to you. It's the business categories and the keywords in your business title that are associated with your business. So it's the most important aspect, but again, it's only 19% of the critical component of the Google search algorithm. Number two are external link signals, also known as backlinks or links from other sites that have strong domain authority. It could be social media. It could be in the case for me, George Mason University also has links. A university has a really high domain authority. It's gonna drive an influence on Google. Number three is the information that you put on your pages. The presence of NAP, which is name, address, and phone number, and of course, important keywords or meta tags in your page titles and descriptions that are also going to be important for Google to understand. This is what you do, and this is where you are. A fourth is something called citations. These are mentions in a number of other sites, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more here shortly. But consistency of name, address, and phone number and the volume of citations out there do influence Google. And then last are the review sites, the Yelps and TripAdvisors and Glassdoors of the world also have the review quantity, quality, and diversity of your reviews are also going to influence Google. You'll notice all these are pretty equal. So you may be strong in a couple of these. We're going to work through your marketing plan to do well in all of them. So to make your website relevant, we're going to choose the right keywords. And of course, what I mean are the keywords are the search terms that our customers are likely to use. We're going to have unique page titles and descriptions for every one of your landing pages on your website. If they're the same, such as you have the same page title on every single landing page, it's kind of confusing to Google, and you're not going to get value of different services and different offerings that you may have based on the business type. We are going to put meta tags. These are the tags within your page title and descriptions and your H1 and H2 headings, and any image that you have out there can all have something called an alt image tag. These are what Google reads to make you relevant. Now, it is important that if you have a meta tag, you also have content in the body of your web page that talks to that tag. You can't just put a bunch of tags in there and not have relevant content for it. Google will penalize you for that. Your website has to be mobile enabled because more than 50% of our searches are now on a mobile platform. And if you are not using a platform that automatically, dynamically changes for the mobile user experience, you'll be penalized. You now have to have your traffic encrypted, so you must have an SSL certificate. You get that from your hosting provider. You do need links from authoritative sites. Mentioned that earlier. We would have also those same links on your social media sites. Could be yours, could be other external social media from your followers. We want you to add content frequently. Blogs are great. What Google likes to see is something that it can index and add to its indexing on a regular basis. If it sees no change, they might not come back as frequently. We do think video and pictures have value. Certainly, if you've got video, have a YouTube component. If you've got pictures, you certainly want to have all tags, but not too many, and you got to make sure it's in the right form. You don't put JPEGs up there. That slows your site down too much. We want to make sure those are in the appropriate format. And speed test is also very important. Speed test is influenced by how you've constructed your pages, but also by the hosting provider that you're also using. A low-cost, super cheap hosting provider may actually slow you down just because it's not optimized for traffic. So when we think about keywords, those are your customer search terms. Those search phrases, are they one or two words, or are they actually a long phrase, what we call long tail phrases, or are they asking a question? So when we think about ultimately how your customer searches, we may want to optimize those meta tags based on one of these three criteria. And it also can be device dependent. Is it PC or laptop browser based, mobile device, phones, tablets, or you're actually asking a robot assistant like Alexa or something like that. You'll be surprised you could try all three and actually get a different result out of Google to what it comes back with. And then one of the things that we do is we have a service called SEO Site Checkup, and this is a way for us to go through your website and look at anything that we find that may actually penalize you in terms of Google search. I did this on our Virginia SBDC network website, and they've got a lot of room for improvement. One of the things that's great is you get a comprehensive report of what needs to be addressed and how to address it. Some of these are pretty technical. Others are, oh yeah, I think we can do that within our with our understanding of our own website.
Tim, we had a question
Yes.
asking if you could elaborate on the alt image tags, and I would add to that the meta tags. A lot of people don't really understand how they work and what they are.
Okay. So something called a meta tag. If you actually look at the HTML page code, which is this combination of the instructions, the code is giving to your browser to display what's up there. But there is information that's contained in the within that HTML that tells Google one is called your meta page title, and it is what Google serves up when somebody searches on your name, and it's always this is the title of your page. Another is something called page description, and it's up to 700 characters and describes what your page is about. And each one of those would have elements of your key searches, and hence we call it a meta tag. And then, as we look at the tags that are available on your page, there are sort of paragraph headings and subheadings called H1 and H2 tags that also can have information about what's contained on the page. And then last is if you display a picture can have a tag to it where you can say this is what this, either what this picture is about or something related to a search term that you think might be relevant that people are searching on. If you notice and you do a lookup on Google, you'll get everything that Google can find about your search, but one would be pictures and one would be videos. That picture alt tag would be information that Google is pulling from your website that would bring you up as relevant to that search. Think of a celebrity and you've got a picture of George Clooney, and if the alt tag picture said picture of George Clooney in my store, somebody searches on George Clooney, Google will serve up George Clooney in your store as an alt image response. Certainly how it works. Hopefully that answered the question. I'm trying to be mindful of how much time we have left. Google My Business, again, most important companion to your website. It is where you manage your page description, your address, your contact information, and your reviews. So we think this is the best place for you to ask your customer to put reviews in. And of course, managing some of your messaging. And it does have a lot of value because it's what shows up when they search about you. They see it, you look professional, you look real, you've got pictures. I can't emphasize enough, got to have a Google My Business profile. One of the other things is something we call citation finders, and these are where we can put your name, address, and phone number as a profile on lots of other sites. For example, did you know Apple Map is the equivalent to Google My Business for Apple phones, so they put you on the Apple Map. And that is one of those citation places that we can put information. We have a service called White Spark that we can not just look at you, but your competitor or your typical search term. An example is I'm looking for plumbing services in Fairfax, and now I can not only get a list of the competitors to me that are putting information out there in a variety of locations. We can find out where those locations exist, and we can even see things like Yelp and other prominent sites that we can understand what their domain authority is and what they're using. It helps us give us a really quick roadmap of all the places that we may be able to put information out there. Now, it's useful that customers can discover you from those locations, or it's relevant to making you more relevant than your competitors in Google search. So there are other places of way doing getting creative citations. That's cross links with other businesses. Hopefully you're on the Chamber site, and that's a cross link for you. If you can get mentioned in local press, local blog mentions, social media mentions by your customers. We often say if you've got a physical location, host an event using Eventbrite at your location. Same with the meetup world. You can, those are highly domain authority places, and you're going to have your name, address, and phone number as part of it. And we certainly look at our competitors and seeing where their citations exist. Review sites have great value. We hate them, we love them. But what we want to make sure is that we are aware of them because it can be important, not just from influencing search, but also as you're part of your reputation. So we think it's extremely important that you're aware of where ultimately search sites may already know about you. You want to make sure that not only are you aware of what might be on it, we're ultimately going to want you to own it, and we're going to want you to add to it. So reputation management, claim your review sites. If I go to and see that you have a review site, you may say at the bottom, claim, is this your site? We want you to claim it. It gives you the opportunity to interact with it, to make sure that the information is correct, and even be able to respond to particular reviews. We often want you to pamper your existing customers and give them incentives to write you good reviews. And so we want you to train your staff and manage any negativity properly. If you've given them good service, have them ask for those reviews. If they're unhappy with their service, don't ask them to put a review on, but address right then and there that you want good customer satisfaction. And then if you do see negative reviews, go online, respond to them. If it's your fault, take responsibility, ask to make amends. If it's something that wasn't your fault, or they are just out there to do you harm, call them out on it. And I had one example where it was one of our clients who actually had considered a dive bar that served great craft beer with loud rock and roll music. That's the customers they were asking. Had somebody say the music was too loud and the food was just bar food, gave it a 1 star. Great response saying, well, we don't think this was probably the appropriate place for you. If you want loud music and great craft beer, this is the place to come to. So we're going to work with you to create a 30, 60, and 90-day action plan in which we're going to develop a plan for each task that might be on this marketing list. We're going to prioritize that action plan, and we're going to set some daily and weekly goals for you. So by the end of that 90 days, we have a much better digital footprint. We're going to be able to look at our analytics and adjust our marketing plans to see if we're driving traffic. And then we're going to, before we even start looking at potential paid advertising. So with that, I would say thank you. Just to, all you have to do is email help@MasonSBDC or go to our webpage at masonsbdc.org and just request counseling. It's free of charge. This is your tax dollars at work. We are very experienced in digital marketing in particular. We are doing this even in conjunction with through our local county EDAs, and we hope we even have grant money that'll support you here coming up. So reach out to us. And at this point, thank you. And this is, I guess, the end of this workshop. And again, turning it back to Carla. And thank you for our sustaining members. And here's what's coming up later today.
Tim, real quick before we end this, we do have a question. She says, "I'm brick and mortar. Do I need social media marketing?"
The answer certainly depends. We certainly would talk to you. Where brick and mortar comes into place is if you have information changing, things that are happening in your store, and social media is a great way of developing a community that wants to follow you to know what's happening in your store. An example might be in a bakery, as we are coming up on holidays. Think of Easter, think of St. Patrick's Day, think of Memorial Day and 4th of July, and you've got promotional things that are happening. Social media is a great way of getting that content out to that community. They'll follow you, and they'll be interested in what's happening. That tends to be what we see a lot of the value, at least at your stage, and it is important in the overall search algorithms with Google. So it has a twofold. Now, one of the things that we would prescribe is that if you're putting some of that same content on your website, you may, there are tools out there that allow you to write this content once and then easily schedule it through a service to automatically populate it into your social media sites. If we think of visual, if it's event-driven, it doesn't matter. There's ways to automate it so you're not feel like you're spending all your time just updating each of your pages.
You've kind of actually touched on my follow-up question. We in the chamber, we have a lot of small businesses and sole proprietors. So is the digital marketing / social media marketing part of this something that they can do on their own, or is it something that they should try and outsource?
It certainly depends. I think it does depend on who you're trying to reach and your level of technical expertise. To build a website, there are some pretty straightforward do-it-yourself website creation platforms, Wix, Squarespace, Weebly. They have great templates. They adhere to most of the elements that we would be looking for Google search. They're secure, and they're pretty effective, and they're really pretty easy to use, but they can be expensive as you add things like shopping carts or want to do some other kinds of capabilities on your website. And there are also things where you are just renting their platform. You may own the pictures, you may own your content, but the HTML behind it is not yours. So if you then wanted to migrate to another hosting platform, you would have to completely rebuild it. As we move into the industry standard, may be considered WordPress and might be hosted on GoDaddy. Tends to be a bit more technical. You may want to be seeking out technical support, somebody to help you with that. We have some low-cost suggestions on how you might do that, and we want somebody that has experience in your particular industry area. We think websites are important from a standpoint of your reputation. Websites are a great way to educate about what you do. You may get them to come to you through referrals or networks. You want to show yourself as highly professional and well established in the digital marketing area.
Real quick, I just wanted to point out for those of you that aren't familiar that a chamber membership with the South Fairfax Chamber actually has some built-in digital marketing. Each member business can have a landing page on our website. There's also a text capacity for it's like a virtual business card. And then currently the chamber's running a business showcase special, which is 1 month of intense digital marketing through our social media channels. So that's just a couple of things going on with the chamber. We had one more question I wanted to get to. Sorry, I need my glasses for this. My eyes are getting tired. To apply for an SBA loan, should people still go directly to SBA or go to SBDC first?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Actually, you would not go to the SBA. The SBA loan program is actually a loan guarantee program. Who actually lends to you is actually a commercial bank, and it would be what's known as a preferred SBA lender. Best to start with us because we'll prepare you to go talk to the bank. That's we have a workshop coming up next month called Financing Your Small Business, and I actually take you through that process of what does it mean to do an SBA loan. Commercial banks can lend to you without the SBA, but when they decide the risk might be at a certain level where they're uncomfortable, or you perhaps don't have enough collateral to completely collateralize the loan, that's where often the SBA comes in. The only case where the SBA actually does directly participate in the funding is actually when you're purchasing commercial property. It's called the 504 loan program, but that is where you're actually still working with a commercial bank. The SBA contributes as well as you contribute. So I would say start with us. We have relationships with more than a dozen SBA lenders. We know the process. We'll prepare you. We will make the bank introduction. We will participate in that first meeting and get the ball rolling. And we think you'll have a much higher success rate.
All righty. Well, I want to thank you for sharing a lot of great information with us. There's been a couple of questions in the chat asking if they can get a copy of the presentation. We are planning on sending out a reference email to everyone that'll have all of Timm's information, all of the additional resources that he pointed out in today's presentation. So look for that in the next couple of days in your email. I do want to take a quick minute to just thank all of our sustaining members that you see on the screen right now. Without these members, we couldn't put on programs like today. So we want to make sure that we give a nice shout out and to thank them for their continued support and their membership in the chamber. I think that is about it. Oh, I wanted to remind you, we have a couple sessions coming up this afternoon. Beyond Service to Your Country, we're going to be talking about veteran and military spouse employment and why, if you're a business owner, you might consider hiring a vet. So that's going to be a great discussion coming up at 1:30. At 3 o'clock, are you financially literate? A lot of small businesses fail in the first year, 5 years, 10 years, because they don't have a handle on finances. So that should be a great discussion this afternoon at 3. And then we wrap up the day at 4:30 with Make Connections Work for Your Business or Your Nonprofit. And we have 2 of our chamber board members who are going to lead that discussion. We all know how important networking is. Some of us like it, some of us don't, but they have some great tips for networking so that it's not a chore. And then finally, at the end of the day, we'll be back on at 6 p.m. with our happy hour. Our chamber chair, Casey Whitmarsh, is going to be giving us a little recap on what the chamber's been up to over the last year and a look ahead to the months ahead for the chamber. So you can see on the screen there our social media that we've talked a little bit about today. So we'd love for you to follow us on our social media. And I want to thank everyone, and thank you, Timm, for sharing all that information with us today. And thank you, everyone, for attending on behalf of the chamber. I'm Carla Olivo.
And thanks for attending, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.